So today I'm going to do the video presentations of the questions. So here's our questions. So this question is basically asking us to determine the values of constant a and b to make the function gx is continuous at the point x equal 1. So here's the step of solving the questions. First step, we should think about the condition in order for the continuity to occur. The second step is to using the relationship between one-sided and two-sided limits to establish the equations between the three functions. The third step is to using the theorems of limits of polynomials to calculate the limits. And the last step is to compare the limits and evaluate the values of a and b. So the first step is to find out the conditions of continuity. Here's our functions, and the definition of the continuity stated that if a function fx is continuous at a point a, b, if and only if the value of the function at that point is defined, the limits of the function at that point is defined, and the limits of the function at that point is equals to the value of the functions at that point. So when we look at the functions at the left side, we can find that the value of the functions is defined at x equal 1, which is equal to a. So the condition 1 is satisfied. For condition 2 is also satisfied because these functions are sort of polynomial functions. The only thing that is not satisfied is the third conditions, because the limits of the function is not quite equals to the value of the functions at that time. So at next step, we should find out the relationship between the limits of the functions and the value of the functions at that point. The theorem of the relationship between one-sided and two-sided functions basically stated that if the limits of the functions exist at this point, the function must approach to a same value both from the right side and the left side. So according to this theorem, we can establish the relationship of these three functions, which is the left-sided limits at x equal 1 is equal to the right-sided limits of x equal 1, and finally equals to the value of the functions at x equal 1. So the next step is to calculate the limits. By using the theorem of polynomial functions, we can find that when we want to get the limits of the polynomial functions, you can basically plug in the x values into the original functions, and then we can calculate the limits of the function at that time, which gives us 3 for the first functions, and the limits of the third functions is equals to a plus b when we plug in 1, x equal 1, and the value of the functions at x equal 1 is equals to a. So the next step is to compare the limits and evaluate the value of a and b. So according to step 1 and step 2, we can combine these three limits together, which give us the functions of 3 equals to a plus b equals to a. And from these functions, we can get the answer from these functions, which is a equals to 3 and b equals to 0. Thanks for watching the video.